All right, this is Laidback But Serious with Grantley Haynes. Tonight I have two legends within the reggae music industry and fraternity in Birmingham, but more closely to the fact, the world of reggae music as well. So I want to introduce to you, on my left, my far left, Mr. Lloyd Blake. And on my left beside me, Mr. Bernie Dixon. And I'm going to open the question. We're going to get to it straight from the start. My first question's going to Bernie. Bernie, there's not a lot of people who know about your history in the business, because you're like an unsung hero when it comes to that for most parts, until you became to work at the Hummingbird. So tell me a little bit about your history.
How far do you want to go back?
Well, I want to go back as far as you would like, where you'd like to start. Let's say that.
Oh,
I'll take questions from the audience later.
in the music business, I started about 1958.
58, okay. That's
And I
around about when Windrush started.
Yeah, and I'll elaborate for you. There was a guy named Big Babsy who lived on my street, 4th Street. And he used to have something that he calls a matinee every Friday night at the Pioneer Lawn in Jonestown. So that's how I got involved.
Hold the mic closer to you.
That's how I got involved
Yeah,
with the music business.
good. So we're talking about Jamaica
That's right.
when we're talking about 4th Street and in Jonestown.
No, Trenchtown.
Trenchtown, okay.
Yeah.
So Bob Marley talks about Trenchtown. Were you close to Bob Marley?
My sister and brother were close to Bob. They were kids to me. I was only 2 years older, but they were still kids.
Right, okay. Interesting. So let's move on. So when did you catch the bug?
What bug?
Oh, well, this is why we're here. When did you catch the bug of reggae music?
Well, if you live in Trenchtown, Alton Ellis live 5th Street. Delroy Wilson live 3rd Street or 2nd Street somewhere. A guy named Jimmy Tucker live along the street where I lived. And you have Lascelles Perkins. And if you walk further up the road, there's a Skull and Bunny. Then there is Ken Booth. You're surrounded by music and singers.
Yeah, but what I'm really interested in, what the audience are really interested in, is where did you catch the bug?
Well. From working in the bar at Pioneer, where all the sound systems played. Now, every Friday night, after Townmore, and Townmore might sound funny to you, but a lot of you knows that. It's where the cycle race went on. Everyone came to the Pioneer Lawn.
Right. So it was a place where everybody met, similar to the Hummingbird. No.
No.
That's what I like, you see. I want you to put me right.
No.
The audience.
Hummingbird is a phenomenon.
Let's stay with Jamaica for now, because we're not move from there yet.
Okay. So we had Joe Higgs. Now you know Joe Higgs.
Joe Higgs, yes.
Higgs and Wilson, they lived there as well, down at 2nd Street. And my wife's brother was a tailor for everyone.
Okay.
So we all had to sing to get our clothes made. If you want your trousers, he's not going to work until he's being entertained by everyone, no matter who you are.
Okay, now this is interesting because now we get the transfer, because there probably wasn't a lot of money around in those days. Yeah? So in order to actually get performance clothes, yeah, or clothes to wear, you had to transfer or share.
It wasn't like that. You had to buy your material, take it to him, but he's not going to sit down and work because he was a Rasta man, the first Rasta that I knew of. Yeah?
Yeah.
He's not sitting down and work without being entertained. So although you're entertaining him,
Although
you
you're
have to pay him.
Yeah. You have to pay and play.
Yeah, that's how it was.
Good.
Higgs and Wilson had to sit down and sing, and then he pit each other against. Like, I would have gone there and say, I want my trousers, I'm going out on the weekend. And he says, okay, who's a better singer, me or you?
How did that work out?
Well, he's always winning.
So he was...
even with Joe Higgs or Roy Wilson, he won.
Right.
Alton, he won.
Alton as well.
Oh, Alton was a dancer first of all, yeah? Then he became a singer. And it didn't matter. He's a tailor and you want your clothes, so you allow him to win.
Okay. Them kind of runnings. I got it now. Right, so at this point, I'm going to bring in Lloyd Blake. And I'm going to ask him to pick up where his story began in Jamaica. And before you come in, Lloyd, what age were you around this time, Bernie?
Well, 58. Wow. I was born 1942, so you
Do the math.
deduct that. Do you do the maths?
Okay, 42. You had to be, 15, 16. 16. Yeah. Right. Okay, so you was singing for your money as well, your supper.
Singing for my clothes.
Yeah. All right. So come in, Lloyd. At what age did your journey start? When did you catch the bug?
In terms of music?
No. I want to hear about...
The bug of music?
Yeah.
Musical bug or life's bug?
Well, let's start from the beginning. Life's bug.
Okay, no, I don't think we have enough time for me to go through the journey. So I'm just going to say that having been born in West Kingston, things were tough.
When you say tough...
Sometimes your parents cannot find food to cook. Sometimes my father's a fisherman, went to sea, and nothing was happening. You have to borrow some money from your neighbor to cook and da. That's how the toughness.
Okay.
Rude boys on the street doing what they did, but we grew up where, under Christianity, where parents say, better you beg or borrow than steal, so we couldn't do anything naughty. So we went through life and watched how things were going on. I got a good education early on, and at about 14, 15, I got into a youth club at my old school and became a voluntary operator there. 2, 3, 4 years, put me into 16, 17, 18, now when I'm in there. But when I was going to that school, like Bernie said, you live in West Kingston, and it was no big thing. You didn't know who was going to go where in their life. So Tom, Don, Harry, John, everybody Delroy Wilson, Alton Ellis, Alton sister, everybody were up the road, boys and girls. You had no idea where they were going to go.
Right.
And in my school, there was a little young man called Young Robert,
Okay.
yeah, who lived across the street, having come from Bull Bay. And anybody who understand Young Robert from Bull Bay, know I'm talking about Bob Marley.
Right.
So we went to school together. I was older than him by 4 years. And in those days, little light skin, mixed race, teachers put them all over the place, and you wouldn't necessarily have to be in the same class, but we sat in the same class some evenings. I said that because moving forward, I became a voluntary youth worker in the same old school, and then I became a paid youth worker. Well, every Thursday was youth club evening. And in my youth club, every Thursday was like a karaoke.
Right.
Some of the names Bernie called used to come there every Thursday. And in terms of memory from a roll call, Alton Ellis, Ken Bood, Jimmy Cliff,
Right.
yeah, James Chambers, Jimmy Cliff, Delroy Wilson, Ken Bood. Lloyd Brevitt played bass in a band called the Scatterlights. His brother was Tony Brevitt, one of the head vocalists for the Melodians.
Right.
Live up the same road as me. So at youth club, Thursday night, karaoke, you had a roll call of who we didn't know were going to be anybody other than a guy from the corner and you can sing and what have you. Yeah? But up the road, there were various persons having little studios, and tomorrow morning you hear that so-and-so was up the studio last night and cut a little tune, so-and-so cut a little tune. I said that because Bob used to come to the school, my youth club every Thursday, and like all the other boys, them knocking pans, walking barefoot down the road, knocking pans and boxes in harmony like you do in Africa. I said that because it didn't start in Trenchtown.
Okay.
If you know
Where
the
did
history.
it start?
Bob started in my youth club,
Right.
Darling Street. Yes, it developed in Trenchtown, and yes, the world got to know Bob Marley from Trenchtown, but it started there. And anybody who do research and go into the internet every so often, hopefully you will see one of the days the schools that Bob Marley went to, Ebenezer School was one of the schools that he and I went to. I've proved that already. Not plugging, but my history has been written in my book, as you know, recently called.
Well, we are going to plug your book.
I'm saying that.
We're
I'm
not
saying
getting
that
away
now to
from
say.
that. We're plugging your book.
I'm saying that now to say this. In
Yeah.
the book, I mention what I'm saying. So I'm not just saying it now.
Yeah,
So
I get
anybody who have read can read and challenge me, and I'll prove it anyway. Then later on, his sister, Bob Marley's sister, became my mother's carer. Friendly carer. Live across the street, have our bar, fed my mother, give her food and drinks, and I sent money to pay for it. Not until I went home to bury my brother, I realized it was Bob Marley's sister doing that to my mother. So that's the whole history. How did I caught the bug? You know this band called the Scatterlights?
Yes.
One of the tenor saxophonists was called Roland Alfonso. He was born in Cuba, mother Jamaican, father Cuban. He came back like a bad boy business, and they went to a youth correction center called Alpha Tower. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, where Don Drummond and all of them came from. Well, he became one of my daughter's godfather.
Right.
And every Friday evening, he would come down in the yard where I lived, sit down, buy his ganja, 2, 3, 4 of them. Sometime Alton would be there. Sometime Roland would be there with Dan Drummond and others. And they would kick in, and you sit down as a boy, and you would listen to them jamming and playing the music, and jamming, playing the music. Sunday, they went over the big yard and jamming all day. And you get into love the music, because down my lane, there was a little shop. You see how cozy this is? There was a little shop as cozy as this, where all the music used to be. Yeah. Everybody used to come and hang out as cozy as it looks here. And one of those who used to come down there was none other than Lee Perry. Come sell him little music, for Coxsone. So with Roland there and my youth club and those singers around me, I tried to sing too. I got into a little group. Yeah, I got into a little group.
Nice.
4 of us went to the same studio that Roland played, the Scatter Lights, and I actually made a record as a group. Yeah, but
Well, you
no
did better
management,
than me
just
because-
management, just we trying a thing and got a little blind. So there's a one record out there somewhere with me singing a kind of bass voice in between. But the back of it,
Right.
the back of it is a Scatterlights #1 tune.
Goodness me. And
Yes,
what's that, Lloyd?
Yeah, it's tune. Who knows I love you, the moon and June and them kind of things.
Right.
You know? Anyway, one night after watching James Brown in a theater, Louis Armstrong up by Racecourse,
Carol.
yeah, I went to a theater
Yeah.
to watch Dionne Warwick.
Right.
Alton Ellis, sister Hortense Ellis was the support. And she outsung Diane voice, so to speak, Dionne Warwick. So much that Dionne Warwick moved a curtain towards Hortense. And I'm sitting in the theater. And I said, who brought these people here? 3-4 years, one and the other. A guy called Stephen Hill was bringing them from America.
Steve Winwood.
Stephen Hill.
Oh, Stephen.
And I said to myself, when I grow up, I want to be a promoter.
Right.
So
Hold it there. Stick a pin.
that is how the bug was caught by me. And then when I come in again, I move fast into where we were.
Okay, stick a pin. Come back, Bernie, because I noticed it's all coming back to you now. So come in.
I will, Hortense, my wife used to sew her dress
Right.
when she went performing.
Your wife today.
Yeah, my wife today.
Ah, well,
Yeah.
give a round of applause to Bernie's wife, because these historical events need to be told.
Also, I forgot to mention Ernest Wrangling. Ernest used to, well, he had a girlfriend next door, and he came along every so often. Derek Morgan,
Right.
you know, everywhere was music. And Bad Boys.
We're going to come to the bad boys.
No, that's part of it.
Yeah.
You hide, and the Bad Boys, for a start, would look at you and say to you, I don't want you to be like me. If I catch you doing this, I'm going to smack you.
Right.
There was one named, especially Carlton Butler. You hear Bob sing a tune named Johnny Was a Good Man?
Yeah.
That's him. He was one of the baddest guy I ever know. But I had to be good around him. If I wanted to be a bad boy, I couldn't be.
Because he would
Yeah, because
you-
he's bad.
put you
And-
straight.
Yeah, and he's bad. He don't want me to be bad.
Yeah.
Because he thought I had potential. I don't know what for, but he thought I had potential.
Okay.
My promotion started like Lloyd in Jamaica, promoting dances.
So tell me, what kind of dances?
And we call it lawn. It was Tuareg Crescent. I had thing. The Pioneer Lawn, I didn't have anything there. There was Foresters Hall, Jubilee, Wildman Street, and what one the last street name? That's up. Success. There was a lot of them. What was the one at Last Street and North Street called again? No. Don't by Denham Town School. There was that lawn. I can't remember its name. Giacomo. That's the one.
Right.
There were music all over the place. So you had to get involved with music.
Yeah.
That's why Jamaica have so much singers. There were so many places that this thing was happening, and then there was the Ambassador Theatre with Veer John's Opportunity Knocks. Or an opportunity. Owen Gray, Alton Ellis, Jimmy Cliff, they all came through that school.
Right.
And there was Palace. And everybody hustle. If you don't win, you don't make no money. So you have to be good to raise some money in the night. So that's why the music scene in Jamaica is as vibrant as it is. You sing for your supper.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so far, guys. What I want to come to now is how did music and Jamaica transcend what was the cottage industry that you were growing up in? And when I say cottage industry, what I mean is the uprising of people getting together because they loved it or because they needed to sing to make money and to become popular. How did it move from there when there was so much happening other parts of the world? How did you and Lloyd move from being promoters in Jamaica to promoters where you felt that you could actually make a life being a promoter? Yes, you can.
Whilst we were doing what we were doing on the corner every evening, playing the good music, America was the influencer.
Yeah.
American music was the influencer for the Caribbean. Everything America, all the soul thing, America. Rhythm and blues, America. We knew that England was far away. Nobody wanted to come to England much because it was too cold. Yeah. And in terms of gangs in Jamaica, I had to ward off a gang that came to my youth club and saying they want to play music, and if you don't let them play music, whatever. And a man said, open your mouth and put a gun in my mouth and said, kiss my gun, otherwise I'm going to kill you. And his friend beside him said, leave Father Blake alone. What he didn't know was on both sides of the political parties, I had friends because I was down the middle helping who I could and their children in my youth club, and the whole man beat him. And when I saw that, I thought, I need to leave England. I need to leave Jamaica. But how did it transcend from those cottage industry to England?
Yeah.
The Windrush ship.
Right.
Mainly the Windrush ship. Because 1 and 2 persons were in the army and came to Jamaica and playing the good music in London, Birmingham. But nothing solid was happening. The sound system in Jamaica was Big Cox than the others. And when Windrush came, the people that came with Windrush came with all sorts of creative ideas. Yes? Okay. I came in 1968, having said what I said earlier about Caught in the Bug. Like Bernie, I used to keep my little sound system dances in the evening and weekends hustle. For some reason or the other, I love school more than the bad boys them. And I kept reading, and venue came into my mind when I saw Dionne Warwick in the Carib Theatre. So when I came to England in 1968 and got down to Mount Pleasant Centre, Balsa Lead, promoting sound systems, I was promoting with the hope of getting a venue one day. Yes? Right. When Gregory Isaacs first played Birmingham, I promoted him in the Grand Hotel.
Right, that's...
I'll interject there, and I was the compare.
And you,
goodness me.
Good. So
now
we were here now trying
this is what
to
rich
promote.
history I want to draw out.
We're here trying to promote what we saw in Jamaica and aping the big promoters, because there were no big black promoters in England. 1 and 2 little artists were being promoted here and there. The pubs and clubs, venues like this, were the mainstay for a little one singer here and there, little 2 singer, little small band. When I promoted Gregory, yes, and finished 2-3 years at Mount Pleasant Centre, Balsa Lead, promoting sound system, I got up to Winston Green Community.
Hold on. You're moving too fast for the audience.
I'm aware of time.
We got
I'm aware
the
of time, and I'm trying to fit the salient bits in. That's why I'm speaking like that. I'm jumping to fit the salient bits in, since we're talking about moving from wherever to the hummingbird, which is a serious long story.
Yeah.
So I am doing the best I can to solidify for people to understand.
Don't, far be it from me to stop Lloyd Blake.
Okay, the cottage bit, that's where it came from. So
Yeah.
deciding that we need something for ourselves. When I was in a youth club, I kept looking at what the white man was doing.
Right.
I kept looking at pop promotions.
Right.
I kept looking at rock and pop and calypso, right? Many persons were talking, but not many were doing. Bernie was one of those who was doing to promote concerts every bank holiday. That's the only time we could get Mayfair and a place called Top Rank.
Yeah, along with Tubby Stan.
Okay, to put on anything. So with watching what the white world was doing, I, Lloyd Blake, decided I need a venue, not just hustling.